Right now, economy is very strong. And I'm not concerned about data. I don't spend my time thinking about day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month issues. I'm really concerned about the long-term prospects for our economy and for our kids. I think my concern right now is the way in which we've gotten this economy going, which is largely, in my view, as a result of debt-financed tax cuts. And I would emphasize, too, we can come back to that later, Joe, that tax cuts are not tax reform. Those are two completely different things. I'm very much for tax reform. But if you look at the Hutchins Center at Brookings put up a very interesting interactive tool this past week. I recommend people go look at it on government spending in the economy and over time. And if you look from the period 2011 to 2015, the fiscal contractionary cycle took about 1% out of economic growth. That was a time period when the Democrats were being criticized for having dampened economic growth. And in 2018, fiscal policy has added 0.75%. That 1.75% explains almost the entire increase in economic activity. If it was offset by increasing tax revenues, I noticed you rolled out Kevin Hassett this morning, then we would be in sort of a miracle of the sort that we haven't seen before. But as yet, the revenues have not come in to offset, and we're having one of the largest deficits we've ever seen. And to do that this late in the cycle this is unprecedented and, in my view, dangerous.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought tax revenues, tax receipts were coming up about 1%. It's the spending where we have the bigger issues.
Well, the deficit. In other words, tax revenues are about flat. Corporate tax revenue is down. Personal income tax revenue is up a little bit, but the deficit is ballooned. And if you're going to borrow to spend the way we have, then and pay for it, you need to see tax revenue increase. That's the way it was sold to us. And we haven't seen the tax revenue increase to offset the spending yet.
We're still not a full year into
That's right.
watching with what happens.
That's
so I
right.
guess we'll see a little
Spending
bit
is
more.
up 18%.
Right.
Defense, $700 billion. The omnibus bill that he had to sign, or else the government would have closed down, to say won't do that again. The other side says it's a spending problem. I mean, we've run deficits. During the Obama administration, we doubled the national debt deficits that were so high. So, the choice is: do you double it and hope that somehow redistribution finds its way into economic growth, which it did not, or do you deficit finance and hopefully GDP goes up, and then you get higher tax receipts, you get more people working, you get some wage growth, you get all the things that you've wanted. Right. Might be coming from it. At least there's some payoff, but the spending is the side that has to be dealt with. And I agree, since most of it's non-discretionary spending, that's where we need to focus, and we're not. And that's probably the issue. But
so the best critique of my recent article was I was accused of orthodox centrism.
I would never accuse you of that.
I love that term. My point is, I'm not taking a side.
This is the op-ed that you've written, that you've recently
I'm not taking a side. I'm not saying.
I'm not accusing you of that at all.
So my general view is that tax reform would have been a very good idea. Cutting taxes and borrowing somewhere, depending upon your estimates, $1 to $1.4 trillion. Adding over 10 years. Adding interest to that to take that to $1.5 to $2 trillion. Doing that in a way in which 21 out of 22 economists polled by that bastion of liberal conspiracy, University of Chicago, said that 21 out of 22 said it would not add to the 10-year growth in the economy.
All right, well, so far so good, at least. All right, you might be right.
No, but the one who did said it would add 0.2% over 10 years. All right. And leave us with $1 trillion.
The jury's still out. The first 4 quarters, pretty good. Pretty good. 3% plus things.
But as I say, Joe, if you look at it,
unemployment 3.7%. But so far so good, Glenn, or not?
No, the increase is almost entirely a consequence of government spending. It's not a capitalist miracle.
That's what we keep watching.
It's not as a result of economic activity that's been generated in the private sector. That's the problem. So what we're doing is borrowing and spending.